Hey guys, part 5 of the individual Audacity documentary. I'm Dee Williams, and this is part 5 through 9, or part 5 of 9 rather. And you've come far, and I don't know, what are your thoughts? Comments below, and hearts, please, love. I won't take up too much time. I just want to say thank you for coming so far and watching. And let's start part 5 of 9 of the individual Audacity documentary.
And I never forget my cousin saying to me, I don't even understand why you're making a big deal about this. I mean, you're young, you're beautiful.
I believe Dawn said that because, she figured that you being young at that age, you should have had your freedom.
Yeah.
And you should have just been enjoying life like that. But you as a mother, you knew that you needed your child in your life, and you knew that, you had a feeling that something wasn't right, and they was saying things to him that wasn't right because the way he reacted to you when he finally saw you.
Yeah.
So I understand.
So I called the bishop of the church, and I called, and he said, I'm gonna call her. She talked to him, and she called me back and said, I don't care. He's my son, not yours. So then I called an attorney, and the attorney said, do you have a home? And I said, no. He said, do you have a husband? I said, no. He said, do you have a job? And at that time I didn't. He said, you're never gonna get your kid back. I said, well, what do I have to do to get him back? He said, you need a job, you need a house, and you need a husband, and probably a car. So I said, okay. So then everything in my world changed again, because now everything in my life was about getting my kid back. Everything I did, every waking moment, everything I did.
She had a hard time with that because she was essentially homeless. And so she had Eric, and the issue with the custody was that she didn't have a stable home, I believe. And as an adult, we talked about maybe there was some financial gain that other people, was receiving to keep Lionel. We know that happens in many families, that they'll use a child or an elderly person because there's some financial gain there. So we have talked as adults about maybe that was some of the motivation for her not being able to get Lionel back, but it was veiled as you're homeless, you're not stable, you're loose, and all these things that she's been hearing all of her life, hearing that from her own family as the reason for not giving back the baby.
She told me I would never see him again. And I told her she had lost her mind, and that of course I was gonna see him again. This was just the starting point. So I just went on this mission to find a husband so that I could buy a house, so I could buy a car, so I can get my kid back.
So I look at it as an adult, I think about being victimized. That was just her being a victim again, not by choice, ever by choice, but her having that target on her. She was a victim of sexual assault. She was a victim of bullying. She was a victim of social isolation. She was a victim of her family abandonment. She was a victim of just being separated from her child. So I look at her and all these instances of where she has lost things, where she has been victimized, where she's been a target. And I think about how she responded then was purely emotionally driven. It was always, what we can do about it. We didn't think a lot about what were the motivations or why it was happening. We thought, well, you have a place to stay. You're not homeless. Why won't they give back the baby? We're going to just go and take them. If we see this person, then we're going to do this. So we didn't think a lot about why it was happening. We just knew that it was happening and we should do something.
I saw a lot, when we would see him at the house of prayer, he was sad. He never smiled. And we knew it was the pain. We knew he was sad from missing his mommy. So I saw a lot of hurt in him as a young boy.
I remember when Kitty's aunt had Lionel. She had EJ, but the aunt had Lionel. and she wanted all of her children together. She wanted Lionel and Eric to grow up together. I remember her aunt feeling that Lionel was better off with her versus being with Kitty.
Going through it, it was tough to see because I knew that she wanted to be with her son. She had already developed a relationship with Lionel. We all had developed a relationship with Lionel. And then he was gone. And not only was he gone, the way that I recall it was he didn't come around much. There wasn't much contact that she even had with him during the period of time that he was gone. So as a younger person, you are there as the champion, you're the cheerleader, you're the person that has her back, you're ready to go kick down some doors and handle people and do whatever it is that you need to do to be a great friend, to your friend that's trying to have this child, trying to get back their child. However, as an adult, looking back at it, I can actually see that emotionally it was draining for her. And while we were rah-rah and we're going to go and kick some tail and get them back and take them back, that was how we responded because we didn't have any other coping strategies. We didn't know how to respond. We didn't have enough life, situations under our belt. So, but as an adult looking back at it, you can clearly see that we were just emotionally driven and not really understanding all of the dynamics that were at play as to why there was such a resistance to reunite Kitty with Lionel.
I started working 3 jobs. I was recruiting during the day. I worked at Wawa, a 24-hour shift at night. I was waiting tables in the evening. No sleep, 7 days a week. So finally, I got a day off.
When I was about to turn 7, my creator came and got me. I had her for a week, I think. It was a week. We went to the movies. We saw Men in Black. We saw George of the Jungle. I went back to her home and she had this big box for me. It had all the new Power Rangers in it. It had the Blue Centurion, the Phantom Ranger, the Morpher, some new shades, some comic books. Like, she had a whole gift set for me. And I'm saying this because she made that moment just magical. And the moment that she saw me, it was absolutely magic. And then the whole week, it was just fun. But I could never forget her face, despite I haven't seen her really much in years. She may pop by every now and then, but I looked at her as mommy. That was who she was. She was mommy, period. And I never really looked at any other situation that was different. Like, I never thought about, who's my dad, And I never thought what was really going on. All I knew is I was staying with Josephine for a little bit. That was it. While she was getting her money together, while she was getting herself together. And it wasn't like, and people didn't ask me questions. People was not like, where's your mom at? Or anything like that, or where's your dad? They was basically asking me, are those your grandparents that you're living with? Because Josephine and her husband, they were old, but they were also great guardians for what they were. And they loved me. And it was the summer of 98, I think, that I was going back with my creator. At this point, she told me what happened. She had told me what was going on. She dropped it all like a nuclear warhead. This is what happened. These people were trying to steal you from me. I'm fighting. She's told me what she was going through. I got to see video footage of her on talk shows, listening to her tapes of her on the radio, seeing letters. She's telling people, like, last few years she's been fighting to get her children back. And I didn't know how to really take that because I was a spoiled kid. And I just knew that we was in a bad situation. And the thing is, when I was living with her before I left, I knew we was in a bad situation. But I didn't know how bad it was until I went with Josephine. So I knew we was living, it was just horrible. Well, as a child, you don't really say, oh, my mom's doing the best that she can, and this is what's going on. I just know that it's rough. And I didn't want to go back to that. I wanted to go live with the Guardians. You know, they had a nice place, so I got everything I wanted, and it was cool.
And it created a very stressful environment for Kitty. Even in showing how much she had matured, her having a stable environment for him to move in, just showing like all of the key points of things that you would need to show, like, listen, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Her aunt wasn't willing to give her back Lionel. I just remember being a very traumatizing time for her. And then as time passed, she, of course, eventually got Lionel back, which was one of the greatest joys in her life, that he was home. It wasn't a major adjustment for her because she wasn't, I think some of the things that was embedded in him when he got back home, initially he wasn't very like receptive to a lot of things that she would tell him. He would always say, well, Aunt never told me that I had to do this, or she told me I didn't have to do this way. Just kind of a little ornery, which wasn't him. Lionel was a very low-key, mild, mellow young man, has always been that way, so it was different. So it created more challenges than what she expected.
You went back and got him?
Yeah.
Lionel was something else.
Yeah.
But he was so intelligent. He wasn't like a little child. He was very intelligent.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him, I'm like, Lionel, okay. He was, my mommy came and got me, and I'm so happy my mommy came and got me. And he was really into it. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, he knew what was going on.
Yeah.
They was trying to keep him from you.
Yeah.
And, you know, you talked to him and everything, but
She did get me back. She eventually did get me back. And I got to see how hard someone fights for what they want to believe, for what they believe in. How you wouldn't let the state tell you anything differently. How you wouldn't let the church tell you anything differently. How you have the entire system working against you. And she didn't care. She just kept fighting and fighting until she had her children back. You know, married a guy she didn't love, made sure she clawed her way to get a stable job, made sure she had 2 cars, made sure she had a great place, made sure she was in a great neighborhood. She did everything that her family basically told her she couldn't do. Basically told her she wouldn't amount to. And when I was with Josephine and the rest of their family, all they ever told me was, your mom don't love you, or you don't need to be with your mom. And I'm like dead serious. This is all that these people would say, you're better off with Josephine. They don't know how hard she was fighting. They don't know what she was going through. And when you go back with her, you know, she's happy. She's proud. You know, she got her children back. That's literally her first big accomplishment. And because of that, she didn't stop. Because it wasn't that she got her children back, this is it. Now she wanted to give her children the world she had been trying to create for them. So that wasn't going to stop her. And looking back, it was just, you know, you're a child and you don't really see you don't see the whole story. You don't see the whole picture. And she threw her heart out. You know, she let me know. And she was like, no secrets, not gonna hold anything back. This is everything it is. I'm just gonna drop it to you. So that's why our relationship is basically full frontal. We go at each other face to face. We let it all out, no holds barred. And she's strict with me. She's strong. When it comes to the other two, it's simple. She'll cut corners, she'll just lay it on them a little bit easy. When it comes to me, no, none at all, because I'm supposed to be the one that does understand her. And this is a woman that even when she wasn't with me was telling me, Lionel, you're better than everybody else. You're gonna be better than everybody else. You are a leader, and you're gonna be a leader, and you're gonna be the best at the world at what you do. Lionel don't care about what any other opinions are. And this is all this woman was instilling in me. This is all she would tell me, and I mean since a child. And even when she left me, every time she'd see me just for a moment, that's what she'd be telling me. And people now, when they just see me, I don't see the way I walk, and I don't really listen to how I talk, but everybody around me tells me, Lionel, you must think you're better than everybody. You always have your head held high, you're always walking with a smile. The way you talk is just like you talk like you're superior. And that's not my mentality per se. I'm not trying to talk down on anybody, but that's what people get when they talk to me. That's the image people get out of me. And I'll never be apologetic for who I am because I get it from her.
Are you ready to dive into the next part? Like the video and subscribe, okay? There's more to come.